You're listening to Mischief Media.
Hey y'all, happy 2022. We hope you enjoyed this surprise installment of PotterCast, which actually was recorded a few months ago, but contains a lot of interesting debate on what might happen in the next Fantastic Beasts movie. We will have more for you on that soon, we promise. Meanwhile, go check out this great new show on the Mischief Media Network. It's called Ted and Michael Read Sketches into Microphones. It is a delightful, hilarious comedy sketch show. If you need a break and a laugh, and let's be honest, right now who doesn't, this is the half hour you need in your life.
Hey guys, I'm Michael Paul Smith.
And I'm Ted O'Gorman.
Ted, I have some ideas for slogans for our new sketch comedy podcast. Will you tell me what you think?
Yeah, sure. Let's hear 'em.
Okay, first one. Ted and Michael read sketches into microphones where the next laugh is right around the corner.
That's okay.
How about this one? Ted and Michael read sketches into microphones where friendship meets non-sexual chemistry meets social mores to a point.
Too much of a thinker.
Okay. Ted and Michael read sketches into microphones, your one-stop shop for listening to this exact show.
Arrogant.
But it's the truth. It's the only one-stop shop that we can offer.
Still, it comes off as arrogant on its face.
Ted and Michael read sketches into microphones, where 0 sketches contain Don Cheadle, although he's welcome anytime.
When you say welcome anytime, that gives me hope that we will have him at some point. So as long as you're leaving that door open, I think that's the one.
I'm just trying to deceive our listeners into thinking that at any time, Don Cheadle could walk into my living room and record with
Anytime
us.
we can lie to listeners to get them to re-up a subscription, I'm happy.
Yeah. Ted and Michael read sketches into microphones. If this goes well, we'll soon be asking you to sign up for Blue Apron.
I like that too, yeah. Because that also gets us on Blue Apron's radar early. I like Don Cheadle.
Okay, so we have a winner. Ted and Michael read sketches into microphones where 0 sketches contain Don Cheadle, although he's welcome anytime. Available everywhere you get your podcasts and at tedandmichael.com. Follow us on Twitter at Ted and Michael.
You can find Ted and Michael on mischiefmedia.com or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Okay, on to PotterCast.
Welcome to another...
The official podcast of The Leaky Cauldron.
The Leaky Cauldron.
The Leaky Cauldron.
Do you hear that, Ern? The Leaky Cauldron.
Just go! You're wasting time!
All right, welcome to a special PotterCast.
All right.
And by special, I mean that it exists.
We did it.
We did it.
I'm Melissa.
Hey, I'm John.
And I'm or Frankie.
What are we talking about? Why are we here? What magical forces have brought us back?
Apparently.
There's some secrets about. Have you not heard about the secrets? The secrets of Dumbledore?
Sorry.
I've heard whisperings
I'm
of
not
secrets.
even getting the joke because I have no idea why this is not called The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore. I have nothing.
Oh, I know,
So I keep
right?
thinking that's what it's called. So when you were like, there are some secrets. I'm like, what are you even talking about? I didn't even get the pun. Like, this is The Life and Lies. Oh, no. It's that other stupid name.
It's
Well,
just
okay.
that's the Rita Skeeter title, right?
Yes, it's the Rita Skeeter
Oh,
title.
that'd be
Yes.
title. I guess it makes sense. It's fine. It's fine. It's not stupid. I just...
Yeah.
It's so The Life and Lies in my
Whether or not it's
head.
stupid, there's a lot of show left to go. We still haven't talked about what the secrets are.
Okay. So to say what we're actually doing,
Yes.
there is a title to the next Harry
Yay.
Potter movie.
Have fun.
And we're going to talk about what it may mean and stuff. So shall we go do that?
Let's do it.
Yes, we should.
All right. So there is going to be a third movie after. And also it's happening in like 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah,
6
they
months.
moved it up.
4 months.
They're moving it up to April.
That's early.
Like this coming April,
It's
right?
very early.
Yeah.
It's like suspiciously early.
Yeah.
What would make them? I've never heard of a movie being moved that far up before. Like 6 months up?
Well, it's been a kind of an unusual thing to have a movie postponed under the circumstances that it was
That's true.
postponed for. But
Do you know what I gotta say? My favorite thing about this announcement, I don't know if you noticed the wording on the press release is It's written by Stephen Clovis based on a screenplay by J.K. Rowling. Not even
I was gonna
not
ask
even
about
based
that.
on a story. They're not saying based on a story. They literally are saying she wrote a screenplay and we had someone rewrite it. That is official. That's canon.
That's weird. I hadn't
It's
noticed that they
weird.
said that.
Yes,
That's
It is
made
very
of-
strange.
I on that second, yeah. Anyway, it's so weird, and it makes a lot of sense because that second movie was a really, the screenplay was like a novel, and it probably was more of the same. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Sure, but imagine what combination of meetings got to, okay, this is the official wording. You know, written by Stephen Clovis based on a screenplay. Have you ever seen a movie that was only based on somebody's screenplay, like in the official language before?
No, because normally they get story by credits.
Right.
So that means is that like, why this special credit? Why
It's
this
weird,
distinction?
right?
It is weird.
It's like an own. It's like a little bit of an own. It should have just been written by Stephen Clovis based on a story by J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
But they're literally saying she wrote a screenplay and we are not using it.
Yeah.
Weird.
I mean, if you're in marketing, like what language does better? Being hyper specific about the involvement, or just who would want to say based on a story and who would not want to say that?
A lot of times,
Would she be saying don't call it that if it's not my story? Or
But don't you think it's not the thing to do to say, oh, this other screenplay exists. That's
Yeah.
just not the movie.
yeah, maybe it's going to be an entirely different movie. Like, we know that there was rewrites, but we never really went into just how in depth of a
I
rewrite.
think this is the rewrite.
Yeah, this will be what we see.
It's quite a choice to be like, this is based on a screenplay that we opted
Yeah,
not to use, that we actually had another writer take over for.
I see
yeah.
a possibility, like if I'm going to skew the scenario here, it might be a gradient between the two, but like, is it something where she demanded something more prestigious than a story by credit, or is it something like she refused to work with them after she wrote her screenplay, and so now it's like they had to
Maybe.
base it off just the screenplay because she was like, no, fine, you guys deal with it, like, or is it
This-
something like that, or is that just
I think you're onto something, Frankie. I think it's like a matter of they had to credit her for the screenplay she
Yeah.
wrote. Like contractually, they had to credit her,
Right.
but also what's on the screen is not what she wrote, so they couldn't.
Yeah,
So they had to also do something else, and probably they
that
just
seems right.
exercised some clause and insisted that Stephen Clovis wrote the actual thing, but they still had to give her that credit. Like it just seems like you would only be forced into that wording.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It seems you're forced into that wording somehow, and I don't think, because there is like a vindictive, there is something into it that is kind of like, this is a venom in it, and I don't think it would unless it's something that is or there was a weird contractual agreement they had to like back into, you know what I mean, logically, like, okay, well, this will
Yeah.
fulfill it because we
Yeah.
have to, because sure, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad you brought that up because I was so curious about that myself. I was like, that's a weird credit, right? I didn't know specifically how it was like structured, how you said it. I noticed that it was weird.
It's strange. It tweaked me right away.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder what their relationship status is. Like how
Yeah.
cordial this experience has been between Clovis and Rowling. If she didn't want him involved and he's there kind of against her wishes or in spite of her wishes.
Yeah.
Let's not forget he criticized her publicly.
He did?
Yeah, in an issue of Variety.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
I think if I knew it, I forgot.
An issue of Variety, he talked about, well, I don't have it in front of me, but yeah.
I'm looking it up.
Oh, that's such a good point. Because I think this will inform.
And we know she doesn't take well to that these days.
He
No.
says that our diversity is our strength. In these challenging times, it is more important than ever that transgender women and men and people who are non-binary feel safe and accepted for who they are. It seems very little to ask.
Oh, that is not language she likes
Uh-uh.
these days.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if that will inform, is 3 the final or is we getting 5?
I think this is it. I think we're done.
I mean, what if this does really well?
Then we'll get another one. But again, what's the chances?
I think that's why
Truly.
it's moved up. I think it's moved up so they can make a decision within the fiscal year if they're going to make
That
the
makes
next
sense.
ones. And so it'll be performance. So this is going to have some contriteness to it because Steve Close has it. So he knows how to structure a movie. It won't be this weird, bloated, drawn out, long beginning with a crammed fast forward ending that's confusing and gives us emotional and
Yeah.
whiplash.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be fun when we talk about stuff in a moment, like especially story beats from the previous film versus like, do they have one film to resolve the sin, or do they have 3 more films to resolve the sin? But that's the only thing I think that's a fun
Yeah, I
talking
mean,
point.
that's a big thing, you know? Like, imagine writing or filming Deathly Hallows without knowing whether or not there were going to be, like, 2 more movies to wrap everything up. That's going to leave either a ton of things that she started the thread on in the first movie left unexamined, or just whole characters. I don't know how you do that.
I wonder if they told her, okay, you have 1 more movie, that's it, boom. And then she wrote this huge screenplay to get everything in. And then when they're like, no, you can't do that, she's like, well, that's it, and whatever. And then that's when they're like, fine, we'll adapt this into something we can use.
Maybe.
But I don't know. That it seems so like, I feel like, oh, what if they, I don't want to be.
So I want to point out what it says on the wiki.
Okay.
Wikipedia, and this is a whole... Boy, is this a conversation. Several years after the events of the Crimes of Grindelwald, the story takes place partly in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and partly in Berlin, Germany, and leads up to the Wizarding World's involvement in World War II. Involvement.
The story everyone's been asking for.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't wait to find out. Couldn't wait to find out why so many people died in that war if the Wizarding World was involved.
Right.
With Grindelwald's power rapidly growing, Albus Dumbledore, blah, 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 the rest. That involvement note. Y'all, I just can't see how we're avoiding a story where we have wizard Nazis.
Oh, we're going to have the muggles, like, all... Like,
well, I think we already have them.
Away.
No, but I mean like real world. I know we have an analogy with Queenie, but if the Wizarding World is involved in World War II and isn't, you could be apparating people out of camps, right? Like if their involvement was purely good, there's either that or some of them were involved. I'm so scared of what they're going to do here.
Yeah, it's like, why are we pulling at this thread?
We're going to see dark wizards that aren't wearing scary masks. They're going to be wearing normal clothes, and that will be far scarier than any of the Death Eater costumes.
No, I'm not talking about dark wizards. We've been doing that forever. In Harry Potter, the dark wizards...
No, we're just talking about regular wizards doing bad things, right?
I understand, but in the construct of Harry Potter, the Death Eaters were analogous to Nazis, right? Like, we all understood that.
Yeah.
That's the world in which we operated.
Yeah.
If you make some of them actual historical Nazis, not Death Eaters that are an allegory for it, but actual.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
That's a different world.
I understand. I think where I'm kind of making assumptions is that I can't imagine that the magical people in the story here will be somehow respecting Hitler as their leader.
God, I hope not.
So much as they'll make it out that the non-magical war is happening in the background here as almost a smokescreen for their war.
Pull at the thread with me a little bit. Pull at the thread with me a little bit, okay? We have Queenie. We have Grindelwald standing in front of what was essentially an IMAX screen of what's happening in the real world.
Right.
In the last one, right? He's like in the planetarium that's got the movie playing behind him.
Sure.
And you have Queenie who's battling, and you see a lot of wizards that are not good, right? You see a lot of wizards that are like on Grindelwald's side.
Yeah.
But it's never been explicitly stated that they're in a world where World War II is happening, where they're part of those events. If you don't have wizards join up and help end that war, anything else, because they have the power to, right? They have the power to get people out of... They have lots of power.
He showed the mushroom cloud.
In a world where they could stop... Exactly. In a world where they could stop those events from happening, and they don't...
Or we're going to see a big...
Are we now... Basically saying, has the Band-Aid been ripped off? Are people now... Are we saying that some of the wizards were on the wrong side in the actual World War II?
I think that's possible. I think...
Yeah, but I think...
that we're shown that there are people that make the wrong choices all the time. But where you're thinking, you're upset is that, like, there were good wizards that could have helped. Why weren't they helping, essentially?
No, that's not that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we have this fictional world where wizards supposedly were doing their own thing and were completely not involved.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've always had these questions of, if wizards are so powerful, why don't they end world hunger? If wizards are so powerful, why don't they blah, blah, blah? And Hagrid sort of says, like, we're best left alone. And so we're we're left with this kind of amorphous way of saying, well, they maybe didn't realize how bad it was for the Muggles, or they would have gotten involved in genocides in various parts of the country. They would have gotten involved in the Holocaust. They would have gotten involved in the pandemic of 1918. You imagine that they just kind of weren't aware. If they were aware and didn't help is one thing. And if they actually may have been part of those actual events, keeping them going. Like, it is different to have a Death Eater that represents what Nazis represent and to have a Harry Potter wizard character who is an actual Nazi.
Yeah.
It's different, right, Frankie? I feel
I
like
100% agree. And I think it bumps me to on the narrative level as well for the same reason, John, because like it doesn't make sense. Because how I've always logicked it away, sure, we have Muggle problems, we have Muggle disease, we have Muggle wars, and the wizards it escalates. And so like they are busy taking care of the magic shit before they have to worry about the Muggle shit. And so, like, I've always just kind of played with that ambiguity, and that was my logic that I didn't have to walk into that fog and do the math. I could just, oh, yeah, that makes sense, and just kind of let it fade in my periphery, let me enjoy the story. I can maintain the illusion, especially in a world that it's so much fun because it straddles our world. That's what's really different about Harry
I've
Potter.
always liked that part about it.
That's what makes it different from other
me too.
other fantasy genres and stuff. To have it go into that uncanny valley, and it's almost like how she was co-opting like the First Nations stuff as well, like just for her story.
Yes.
It's plucking that same chord or doing the same verb. I don't know the right analogy there.
And the same way, it's hard for people who grew up with Harry Potter as an LGBT analogy. That's hard right now. I can imagine having the veil pierced yet again by seeing the Nazi insignia in a story that you love so dearly has got to not be a fun prospect.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I go back again thinking about just how much different of a movie are we getting now with Clovis than we seemingly could have gotten, and had Warner Brothers be like, oh shit, like, no, we're not making this. Are you crazy?
Yeah. I mean, we are making,
you can't put this out here.
Well, we're all making some assumptions. And
it's making huge assumptions, but just given what we received, the fact that like we saw, the mushroom cloud and people, marching and all of these things, it's like you are in that dangerous territory here where either you're going to like acknowledge it in a way that you can't possibly do it so perfectly that you're not upsetting large groups of people no matter what you do. You either are making the wizards out to have somehow participated in all of that, or could have and didn't, were somehow ignorant to all of it and only found out after the fact, and if only we had known, we would have done something, all of these things.
I wonder if this is why so many fantasy series don't do this.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Like you don't skirt. And you can for a while. You can for the 7 books of Harry Potter. You can make up whatever you want to make up about it. But then when you really start to expand the world and start to really integrate it into like real world, you hit against, okay, well, if wizards are so magical, why X, Y, Z? And you can't really pull the thread too much.
If you're Grindelwald and you have your magic, you're not intimidated by any non-magical person. Do you apparate and have yourself a conversation with Hitler, with these folks? And like, do we need to have that moment? Does that...
I mean, like,
I don't know.
To me, it's just like, why can't they just be Grindelwald's a threat? Fight the bad guy. Just,
Fight the bad guy. Make up stories around the bad guy.
Or what if they do something where it's Grindelwald who's influencing him, and like that's why he did so many awful things, and if it was he was poisoned by dark magic, and now we've just excused Hitler. So
exactly.
Jesus.
It's just
exactly. Like
we cannot do
hang
that.
On.
We cannot do that. No. That should be the promo for the episode. Oh no, we just excused Hitler. It'll get a lot of audiences.
Oh no, they cannot. Can you
Yeah.
possibly imagine what would happen if she said to the Jewish community and the gay community, my creation is why what happened to your people happened?
Oh my God.
The backlash?
Yeah, just a lot.
And I know it's fiction, like it's all fiction. People get to say things in fiction, but it's treading that big, important moments of whole cultures' lives and histories and co-opting and trying.
It would become her brand at that point, even more so than people could already like say that it is.
Let's just pray that that's not what's about to happen.
Well,
pray.
I mean, I don't think it will happen because we have Stephen Close, and I think he's more of a team player, and I think like what you guys are saying about her, like maybe it did go too far one direction, and they were like, no, we can't do this. Yeah. And maybe she's just not used to working collaboratively on a narrative, because I wonder what the experience was for the play, because that one is like, what is her credit on that? Story by?
Story by.
Yeah, because normally that's the credit. It's not even like a story written by. It's just story by.
Right.
And so, like, the fact that it is screenplay written by is the fact they put written in there.
Screenplay by, based on a screenplay by.
Like it's great. Yeah, it's just
went through the trouble to put it in that format. It's
weird. It's just it's notable. Sorry, I don't want to be judgmental or anything too much. So like, it's very notable.
It's notable. Listen. We always say that we don't want to delve in this too much with everything we talk about, but it's undivorceable from what we talk about.
Yeah,
the people working on these films are arts people. All of them are arts people, and I have to imagine it's not the happiest.
Well, I don't want to prejudge it for something that it isn't yet. Obviously, if it comes out to be this way, there'll be all the time in the world, and we'll be one of many in the chorus talking about how ridiculous it is. But something tells me, like, you would have to be making, like I said, making the trolling like your brand, and saying, I'm just the kind of writer who's just going to go into all these sensitive topics in history and all these things and just take my crayons and go to town. But I can't imagine, like, she would get into that, like, after the Pottermore debacle with all of the American stories and every other time she's been accused of things over all of the years, not being sensitive to cultural things that she's appropriating. To finish all of these, the cap on what's probably the last of the
new canon
sagas here, to be like, and here's what happened during Nazi Germany. Like, I mean, we're gonna get something, no doubt. We know that much, but maybe we're not going all the way to 1945 like a lot of people originally thought these 5 movies were going to cover. Maybe we don't get that far.
Cool.
I don't know. What do we think the secrets of Dumbledore are, though?
Well, we can talk about I think the major one would be Credence, and I want to talk to you guys about Credence. I have some questions. With Credence, his dad was locked away for a long time, and then I'm assuming, I think it's canon, I think it was like 18 something to whatever. So specific. And he died in Azkaban, from what I recall. And so he could not have fathered Credence, correct? Yes, no, maybe so?
No, he could not have.
Okay, that's my takeaway.
It sounds like Kendra Dumbledore would have had to have fathered Credence with somebody else. Okay. Mothered Credence with somebody else.
Here's my next question. And now how they say that phoenixes come to Dumbledore's. Like, that's kind of like a thing known to, like, the family, correct, or no?
Yeah.
Then I don't want to sound like sexist here, but wouldn't that mean it would be on his father's side? Because if it's a name-bearing thing, so that means Credence couldn't be the one to draw the phoenix to him in the same manner as Dumbledore, because he has her blood, not Dumbledore's blood, unless it's more of
that's the question. This is why, because we had this whole conversation about how could this possibly be, because if Kendra had Credence with somebody else, then neither of them are Dumbledore's by birth. So why would he be a Dumbledore? Unless it was just named. It was just in name. So yeah, you're right.
So we're talking about Credence. So let's just call his blood Mr. Blood. Okay, just as
here we go
to give it a name. All right. So Credence
2006.
Mr. Blood. Okay, all right, I'm not gonna do the whole thing. But no, you're totally right, Frankie. I hadn't thought about that, and that really makes me...
Well, I bring that up specifically, the Phoenix thing, because I noticed that, because for me, I'm trying to be like objective as possible. I think the storytelling of the last film, they were using the Phoenix as kind of like a universal, like the universe of the movie was giving us like an objective, like, you know, when Captain America picked up the hammer, that's the world logic and lore informing us that Captain America has a good heart and he's worthy, because that's how that magic hammer works. And so essentially have that Phoenix appearing to Credence at the end is the movie saying magically, yes, he's a Dumbledore. And so I was just making sure, like, if I work backwards from that logic, I don't know if the Phoenix legend was just in his family and his mother told him because she, like, it's her blood. Like, I have no idea. So Fox
the Phoenix. Right.
Appears to Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two possibilities. There's two possibilities.
Yeah.
One is that he just happened to attract a phoenix, and the other is that it's his father. His father had a baby with somebody else. Which, okay, possible. It is possible, even like before he went to jail, that he impregnated somebody else.
But not with his age, not with Credence's age.
Why?
He's so
How old is
young.
Credence? Oh, you're right. Wait, but Credence isn't younger than Ariana Dumbledore.
Yeah, he is.
He's older than Ariana Dumbledore. No, I mean Ariana Dumbledore was like 11 when they had the big fight at the end, which was near the end of Grindelwald's like tenure, right?
No, that happened at Dumbledore.
At Kendra's funeral.
Yeah, which was at the Kendra's funeral, and then Ileana died. Oh, that's right. Ariana died with Grindelwald there.
Yes, Ariana. They had a big fight at Kendra's funeral, and Ariana died. And that was the last time, and she was 14 at the time.
So Dumbledore being a teacher means his mother's dead.
Yes, Dumbledore's mother was dead since his sister was 14. I don't know how old that meant he was. It was right after he graduated Hogwarts.
I thought his dad went to prison after Ariana got allegedly abused. And so he was in prison when he was really young.
Do we know how long he was in prison? Did he die there?
I think he died there because I think that ties into his brother being mad at him like gallivanting around when he should be helping with his sister now that the mom has passed.
Yeah, none of this makes any sense.
And so that's why...
Unless the dad got out of prison and nobody knew.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be something like that, which is like so stupid. But then at the same time, I don't understand why Dumbledore...
It has to be.
Because this is happening in the past. And so why wouldn't have Rita Skeeter found this stuff? Like, why would Dumbledore hide his brother?
It says Percival died in Azkaban around 1890. The only way he had another child is if that's a faked death and he was actually out there.
That doesn't seem like good writing. That seems like retconning.
It seems like a way to get another story.
It almost seems as like making Bellatrix have a baby with Voldemort just to, make a production somewhere.
Oh, God.
Oh, sorry.
Is there a word for making somebody have a baby to make your story happen?
Yeah, it's a sitcom. It's called Season 3. I'm just kidding.
That's hilarious. There's got to be a word for it. Similar to, it's not this word, but like the same way that fridging means something. I feel like there should be a word.
Yeah, there should be that.
For, we're just going to make a character have a baby.
Incubating.
I like that, Frankie. Okay, so they incubated.
Let's workshop it. If that is insensitive somehow, please let us know. We don't want to be dumb.
Yeah, TM. But yeah, they incubated a story by tweaking events and incubating.
So here's the thing. Maybe there is the possibility that Dumbledore sent Fawkes to Credence intentionally from afar.
Oh, interesting.
So maybe they go from that angle where maybe Grindelwald, and they play it in a way that like Grindelwald has it wrong in the sense that he needs a Dumbledore blood for a spell or something, and then he only has the mother's blood. And so, like, actually, no. And Dumbledore knows it somehow, and that's how he was protecting Credence until he can get closer to save him or something like that. That'd be kind of fun.
Do you think they could wrap this all up in this movie?
If they do what my brilliant theory that I just said, yes. No.
Yes.
I don't think so. Like,
I think it's possible if they get rid of the idea of how big it was going to be, right? This is about where things were going as opposed to here's how things fully end up. Then, okay.
Yeah, I did. The one video I watched talked about how they have an expectation that it will be like all 5 movies, and they were thinking that we're going to get a movie that is centralized in Ilvermorny. And that got me kind of hyped a little bit, like, oh, that'd be so good to see an Ilvermorny. But apparently there is a character cast in this one on the IMDb as the Ilvermorny charms teacher.
Hey, fun.
So, and she had a small cameo in the first movie, like in a portrait or something, or in a book or something.
She McGonagall?
No, not McGonagall.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Gonna rip open that can of worms.
Also worked at Ilvermorny for a while.
McGonagall's everywhere. You go to Starbucks and
she's the Marty McFly of the series.
Scottish witch to work here. Who do we got for this?
There's every possibility that this, again, incubating or whatever, well, I guess it's not baby related, but then we find out that that's how she knew that Hermione could handle time turners, because she had a lot of experience with time turners. She was a time turning, running around the whole timeline witch.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, I would be fine with that if it's like, yeah, we thought this was a fun way to kind of like change the character or just kind of adapt the character. But like, if it's like, oh no, it was my plan all along. That's just like it's just like burrow, like my face, my flame, you know that one quote on Clue?
The flames at the side of my face from Clue.
Face, I'm on fire.
The flames, the flames.
Like I know this is me being like stubborn or even pedantic in a way, but like I still think the Nagini thing was a retcon because I don't think she would have wanted Neville to behead a woman. I just don't think she would have. Like,
interesting.
And I don't know if that's
Snake
me.
had done a lot of awful things by then.
Neville beheaded a woman?
Neville beheaded Nagini.
Oh, you mean the woman that was inside of Nagini. Got it.
Yeah, maybe I'm just connecting to people too much.
I think that was a retcon also.
When they present the Maledictus as a condition, as something that's bad, like it victimizes her in a way that like she gets murdered by, I don't know, I don't like it. I've said that a lot though, so I'll leave that there.
So what are we looking forward to about this movie? I just don't want like people, like we still are talking about Harry Potter.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how it all
Angry
plays
J.K.
out.
Rowling for a lot of different reasons, but we are like curious about what the ending of this is going to be.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Find a way to ethically consume
I'm
it.
Yes, that's
optimistic
that's the goal, Melissa.
That they'll have put together something good here in the end somehow. I think the canon obsessed of us will be annoyed at possible, inconsistencies and hoops they have to jump through to, make things, make sense for the story of this particular saga. But
yeah, I would say don't expect them to jump through canon hoops to get their dramatic story.
Right.
They
Like,
will push those away for the drama.
I'm not looking for
That's
it
true.
to just be so intricately woven into the tapestry that was the first 7 books that there won't be any questions or any problems with the canon by the end of this. I'm sure that bridge or a ship has sailed.
Here's a question for you. Do you think we are hyper-focused on the streamlined canon partly due to like the cultural zeitgeist that is like the MCU and how like they're all strung together and stitched and whatnot?
Well,
Because we could be in that world. And
yeah.
So maybe
But Marvel had decades of stories to
exactly.
fall back on.
And it's not one creator. So you
Yeah.
have lots of talented creators getting together to create it all in synchronicity as opposed to waiting on the whims of one. So it's
I'm talking about just the MCU.
I know, but what I'm saying is seeing that all work so amazingly and them try cool new stuff. Every series it's got a different vibe and has a different thing they're trying to plumb and trying to do well and sometimes not well, and it's okay. And like seeing like a big blockbuster like mess up a little and have fun and give you new stuff to think about. That's not what we're getting out of Harry Potter Inc. It's just, here's what we think a blockbuster is, and we're going to stamp and print it the way it was in the 90s and the early 2000s. And that's not the way things are anymore, and they're not taking any creative risks. And that's, I believe, why they're failing.
Yeah. Or they're just taking the wrong kinds of risks.
But like, this is the formula that's worked for us all this time. Got the same writer.
Right.
That's true.
But she wants to include the Nazis.
director.
What do we do? Do we let her talk about the Nazis? Or do we bring Clovis in here? I don't know. Let's just get Clovis just in case.
Maybe we get Steve Clovis. Maybe we get our old pal Steve Clovis back.
Right? He wants to bring Hermione into it, but we told him this was years and years earlier than Hermione. But
Rude.
what you gonna do?
He wants to bring Hermione into it too. Well, she had those time turners in book
She
3. You
did,
never know what
right?
she got
That's
up to.
true.
Those,
Sitting there turning it 640,000 times to get back to 1945.
yeah. I mean, some of those lines that they gave to Jacob probably would have been better coming from Hermione.
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
We'll never know. Okay. Well, tell us your thoughts and feelings and fears and excitements and how you're going to try and consume this if you are, how you're going to not consume this if you're not.
Yeah.
Staff at PotterCast.com or all of our socials or PotterCastPod at Instagram and PotterCast on Twitter.
If you take a compact mirror and watch it through the mirror, it's okay. It reverses everything.
The movie's a Basilisk.
Yeah, basically.
The movie's about.
Okay.
Don't look directly at the movie.
Episode title. The movie's a Basilisk. All right, it's been a minute.
Hello.
Howdy ho, folks.
What's happening in your time zone?
I'm getting married in a few months, and that's pretty much
Oh
that's
my
everything.
God.
I know, it finally happened, y'all. It finally happened. I finally found a good man.
How exciting.
Found a good one.
Make
He's
an honest
wonderful.
woman out of me. He is great.
He's a cutie patootie.
He's been in an episode of PotterCast before, hasn't he?
Has he?
I thought we had him on for something.
He's maybe probably
I
made
think
a
he might have like
cameo.
popped in.
Remember
here or
Bill?
there. Bill?
And Bill?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
that's right. We referred to him as Bill. Well, that is
I
his
think
name
we
still.
did refer to him
Well, 'cause
very
his name
early
is Bill,
on.
of course.
His name is Will, and really early on, I didn't want to say his name because reasons I wasn't trying to get him targeted on the internet by whatever, and so we were kind of a little bit more sneaky about it than we are today.
That's okay.
That's good.
Frankie, you keep showing me your beautiful nail polish, but that's not translating to PotterCast.
It's not at all, and it's not translating to the webcam. The webcam looks dank in there. Right here, it looks
You
like.
gotta take a video.
We'll figure it out.
Take a video and show me. What else is what's happening in y'all's lives?
Oh, what is it? September. Almost Halloween. You guys got costumes picked out?
No, but I have a
No,
party we're going to.
You're having
so
a
it'll be
Halloween
fun.
party, huh?
No, not having it. We bought tickets to a party.
Oh.
I have a wedding that weekend, so
Oh.
not my wedding.
A
I just
spooky
have
wedding?
I mean, no, I don't think so.
Just a regular old Halloween non-spooky wedding.
It's a wedding that was supposed to happen like 5 times, but it's COVID times.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely.
So-
Yeah, then that's an inappropriate question for that context.
Yeah, for that, yes. It is not bound to any one holiday, but that should, yeah. We're doing, so we pick a day where our season officially, quote unquote, starts. So this year for Halloween season, it was September 12th. That's when we decorated. So now the house is decorated, and we are
Who decides this?
we just decided together.
Okay.
And, it's arbitrary.
I mean,
We
nobody asked
decide.
me, but it's fine.
I mean,
September
if you want
12th.
to come over and be part of the next part I'm about to
I
say,
mean, it's too
then
close to
you
my
can be part of
birthday
that
week.
conversation. It is too close to
You
your
can't
birthday
step
week.
on my birthday week
Mm-mm.
with your
Oh.
other things.
Yours is Labor Day.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, that's true, mostly.
Yeah. So we watch a lot of spooky content. Like once a week in the beginning, and then like close to Halloween, we'll watch like every night a spooky something. So right now we're watching Midnight Mass, which is the same series that like last year it was The Haunting of Bly Manor, and the year before that it was The House on Haunted Hill.
I'm going to start
It's
The Haunting
Netflix-
of Bly Manor tonight.
Oh, it's
No,
good,
no, not
Frankie.
the first
It's
season,
just
not the second
slow.
season. The first season.
The Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, starting at tonight.
Haunting of Hill House is my favorite of the 3 so far.
Wow. My friend
It's
Emma
remarkable.
just finished Midnight Mass like a day ago, and she was telling she spoke very highly of it as well. She said it was very interesting. She hadn't seen
It's very-
anything like that before.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very different. It's a whole different look because the first 2 were very much like big old house spooky times. We've all, it's well done.
Wait, Melissa,
but
how
it's
was it?
Big old house spooky times.
Big old house spooky times.
Big old house spooky times.
Spooky times.
Ooh, yeah.
And we all know that story, and that can be really enjoyable, done really well. This Midnight Mass thing, is a whole different thing.
Okay.
Very cool.
I'm excited.
Sounds
It
spooky.
features the guy that played Saracen in Friday Night Lights.
I didn't like
Ah.
Friday Night Lights, so I stopped watching it.
Tell me why.
Tell me why?
Yeah.
Friday Night Lights?
Mhm.
They took football too seriously, and so like every episode, I was just
That is
irritated.
Definitely true.
I was irritated at it, and so like I think I was like, I'm getting angry at these characters for the genre that it is. I think I should stop, and so I stopped.
And listen, I know that like especially people of color have a real hard time with Friday Night Lights because it's not the best. It's not the best for it.
Yeah, like
But my original watching of Friday Night Lights is I don't know, they're just people trying to just like be better people. And it's just
I like that narrative.
It's good. It's a good I liked
I
it.
didn't like that they were trying to get the guy who was a bully picking on the nerds and like the gay kid to play football, and like he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. He wouldn't be suspended from the game for one mistake. It's like, yes, he should. That's inappropriate
Yeah,
behavior.
but Coach is gonna change his life, Frankie. All those people are bullies until Coach gets at him, and when Coach gets at him,
Coach can still get at him. He doesn't have to play in the game. Coach can still get at
That's
him.
fair.
Sorry,
Well,
I get
Coach-
very
Coach has
pedantic.
time for everybody. I don't know anything about any of these characters. but-
I only watched like 8 episodes as well, so like I probably didn't give it a fair chance to
Yeah.
fall in love with the character.
yeah, there's a lot of them. What else are y'all consuming?
I
these
started
days?
watching. Gemini started watching Why the Last Man, the new TV. Have you guys heard of the graphic novel series Why the Last Man?
No.
It is
Oh, actually, I just started watching a couple of those.
the show or the.
The show, not. I
Yeah.
haven't
Okay.
read
Yeah. We
anything.
just started. There's 5 episodes out. The 5th one came out tonight. We started watching it a couple days ago. And the premise of the story, it's based on a graphic novel series where one day everyone with the Y chromosome dies, except for one guy and his monkey. And then it's about how the
What?
As is tradition.
well, it's just this one young guy, and he has he's a monkey, and I didn't know why I thought, because I never read it was one of those graphic novels that my friends were telling me to read for like a decade or whenever it came out, and I just haven't got around to reading it yet. And so I know a very iconic cover of this guy standing and a monkey on his shoulder, and I just assumed like, oh, he survived, and then he's out and about in like the apocalypse, and oh, he sees a boy monkey and they find each other. Cool. But no, he has the monkey before the apocalypse as his pet, because he's an aspiring in the show. He's an aspiring magician, like a safe artist, like a performer. And so for some reason they both survive. We don't know why. The drama fallout of how so much of the cabinet were men, and how like to work that stuff out, like planes fell from the sky, power things aren't on, like militias are forming. It's like very a Walking Dead that I can watch, because it's not zombies tearing people apart. It's just like high stakes drama, and it's cool because they have the comic book did not incorporate the storyline of like trans characters, but in the TV show they are, and they're being played by actual trans actors, which is great.
Imagine that.
I know, it's lovely, and it's like addressing the
What a
story
world.
I think, that's a conversation I think I would like to have if you guys watch it, or if anybody listener has watched it. Like, I think so far they're handling it pretty well, making it part of the actual story in a thoughtful way. Anyway, I thought that was interesting and worthwhile, especially with the J.K. Rowling of it all.
The J.K. Rowling of it all, indeed. Cool. Why The Last Man?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. It's spooky.
It's spooky?
Yeah, it's spooky. It's
Another
stressful.
Spooky one for the Halloween season.
It's spooky. Okay. What's it on? What does it play on?
Hulu.
The internet somewhere.
Hulu.
It doesn't stream up
Thanks.
here. I have to find it somewhere.
Speaking of zombies, I don't know if y'all saw, but they put out an image of Joel and Ellie from the HBO adaptation of The Last of Us. And it's just their backs, but it's
I like that.
very, you know who got cast, right?
Yeah.
Who?
Bella Ramsey, aka the little lady of Bear
Oh,
Island
yes,
from
that's
Game
right.
of Thrones.
And who's the?
And what's his name? The Mandalorian.
Oh,
The Viper from Game of Thrones.
She was also the
This-
worst witch on Netflix. If you guys watched it.
Pedro Martinez?
I
Yes,
don't
she's the
remember
worst
that.
witch. And she was also in Golden Compass, or Subtle Knife. She was one of the kids on the island.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she was like a little bully.
Kind of like feral kids on the
Her,
island.
her brother died.
Yeah, and Angelica, kind of the vicious one. So I'm very excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
We haven't had an update on our other podcast in a while, but we are going to be
Yeah.
packaging up. We are going to be releasing more soon.
Yes, there's been just life events, and 2021 has proved to be much harder than 2020 in some regards. So
I know.
yeah.
Who'd have thunk it?
I did get the book finally came in on Friday from the bookstore that I ordered, Kids on Brooms, and so I'm going to read through that.
Oh, cool.
And I'm thinking there's a way that we might even adapt our existing story into that mechanic versus.
Cool.
But then at the
Kids
same
on
time,
Brooms.
that's taking away 5th edition when we're the 5th edition, so that'll break down the pun a little bit, and that makes me sad. But I really like the mechanic. I want to read on it more, and I think it'll be a little more free-flowing and a little bit more like you guys have a little more agency. I think I need to read up, but I think it'll be fun.
Cool. That sounds fun to me. And we're still, if you're listening to this and you're a DM and you feel like DMing me, John, and Frankie on the Roll 9 3/4 channel, where we play some fun. This doesn't even have to be Harry Potter related.
Honestly, just
send us an email.
Yeah, just a little one shot you have, like it'd be really fun. I just like D&D, and so it'd be fun to play.
It's the email address is roll934pod@gmail.com. But in the meantime, go catch up on Roll 9 3/4 because we were basically editing everything else we've got recorded and putting it all out as one. Not as one, but like all ready before the rest of them start to go out. And so that's going to resume soon.
Ooh, that's exciting. I was going to say I've been watching the Marvel show What If.
Oh yes, what if? That's
And
what it
Wait,
was.
there's another Marvel show?
Ugh,
God, there's
it's
so
a
many. How do they
cartoon.
do it?
It's amazing,
Okay.
Melissa. It's amazing.
What If it's called?
Yeah.
You describe it, John, and then I will.
Basically,
supplement.
if you watch the show Loki on Disney Plus,
Did you watch Loki,
I did.
Melissa?
Yes, I did. It was amazing.
They get into talking about the multiverse and all of the things that are happening in different timelines, essentially, in these different worlds. What If is basically a cartoon show where each episode goes into like what would have happened, or like what if Thor was an only child? How would things have went differently? And they changed like one thing, and then let the episode play out. And it's pretty cool. It's most of the original actors voicing their people, their characters.
The stuff with Black Panther has T'Challa, and it's like, oh, it's so nice to hear his voice.
Yeah, they must have had this. We're working on this for a long time.
Yeah, like I'm glad that you tied it. I would not have thought to tie it into Loki, John. I would have forgot to tie that in. That I'm just familiar with the comic that it's based off of. But that's such a better way to explain it. Like, it's about these what if storylines. It's kind of like fanfic for the MCU in a really, really fun way. Like, one is the Doctor Strange one is magic-y, and it's like, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? And then so it talks about him dealing with emotional trauma versus his physical trauma.
Yeah, it was really cool, and I feel like it was made for people that like PotterCast. Honestly, it's just a lot of theorizing about the canon of that world, those movies, that show, and it's so rich. There's so much there that they've come out with so many different sorts of episodes, just pulling at different things. And yeah, check it out. I don't know how many more episodes are left.
I think there's
at this point.
I googled it. There's 10 for the season.
10. Okay. Yeah, you'd like it, Melissa.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
It's really fun animation. I'm very impressed. Like, my animation nerdiness is like so pleased by this.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
All right.
All right,
this
gang.
was fun.
Well, let's do this more.
Yeah.
I say every time.
I say like, yeah, that's our new closing.
Hope whoever is here listening is doing well and staying safe and healthy in these crazy times.
Go follow us on PotterCast on Twitter, PotterCastPod on Instagram, and our Patreon.
And Patreon.
Our poor neglected Patreon, but we really do appreciate people who want to support, because the only way we're going to be able to help get stuff edited is if we have that support. So we really appreciate
we need
that.
All right, guys. Well, until next time, keep twiddling those dials.
The next password is Clark.
Oh, Mr. Clark.
Keep each other safe.
Keep faith.
Good night.
Good night.
We've missed it.
W3. I confess myself disappointed.
Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to bed.
Great Scott, no wonder. Look at the time. We've been here nearly 4 hours. Spooky how the time flies when one's having fun.
Good night. I saw you counting, and then I started, and I messed it up.
I should know counting is always
That's
our
okay.
downfall. I don't know what I'm doing. All right.
Fine.
Good night.
Good night.